Now, of course, the market and the risk that lies therein is a major factor and a major concern among retirees and pre-retirees, but it's not the only concern. One of the expenses that could actually derail a retirement plan is the need for long-term care. And to protect themselves, many people turn to long-term care insurance. But retirement columnist Scott Burns says it's time for a reality check in that regard.
What the insurance industry doesn't tell people, they give alarming statistics. By their statistics, we will all be in long-term care interminably. But the real statistics are that A, not that many people wind up in long-term care. And B, of those who do, few of them, their life expectancy is quite short by that time. And in any case, the long-term care policies, almost none of them cover the first 180 days. So you need at least 180 days of savings before you'd even justify buying a long-term care policy.
And of course, those policies, many of them, if not all of them, are in fact use it or lose it. If you don't need the long term care portion of it, that money you paid, it's money gone. Nolan, is there a better, more affordable option when it comes to coverage for long term care?
There definitely are some options. What concerns me about Scott's comment is it talks about essentially you don't need it, and it's going to be short term and probably shouldn't be that expensive. But I want you, a listener, if you're a listener to the show, think about a situation where you, a loved one, a family member, or a friend, needed long-term care, and kind of how devastating it was. Because I can think of my own family situation. I can think of, my grandparents, and my grandfather, I'd call him a man's man. He's the guy that grew up, lived into his 90s, and he's the type of guy who would, literally take the shirt off his back and give it to somebody else to help people out. That's how that generation really was. And so when grandmother got sick and grandmother had a stroke, my grandfather naturally became, the primary caregiver. It wasn't necessarily that we had to put grandma in a nursing home, but the reality was because grandfather was the primary caregiver, those couple of years where he was a caregiver, I think really aged on him a lot. So what I would tell Scott to do in his situation, talking about the long-term care reality check, is yes, I would agree that traditional long-term care insurance is not my favorite option. For those of you who have made that decision to purchase it, I commend you. I think only roughly about 3% of people have purchased long-term care insurance. But, in every situation, 100% of the time, it's important for you to know what your options are and to work on developing a plan before a crisis situation happens. So when we're looking at the options, option number one is to do nothing. That still actually is a choice. And essentially by doing nothing, what happens is if you end up in a facility and you need long-term care, you're just going to end up writing the checks for what those benefits are. Here in Ohio, a married couple, they have certain assets that are considered countable or uncountable, where a single individual, typically would need to spend down all of their assets down to virtually nothing, $1,500, before Medicaid would pick in. But even in a situation, if you're out there in a situation and your family's going to need long-term care right away, talking with somebody who understands navigating the environment I think is important. That could be a financial professional that has experience in dealing with this. It could be an elder care attorney, somebody who deals in long-term care, and getting a guidance because they don't give you like a Medicaid playbook. You need to have somebody who helps you kind of navigate that environment as well if you're in a crisis mode. For those of you who served in the military, if you haven't worked with your Veteran Service Office, I think it's a good idea to become familiar with your Veteran Service Office as a veteran-owned business, as somebody who loves and supports our veterans. There could be certain entitlements that either you or your spouse has for your military benefits. Younger folks, or maybe folks that are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s can look at what the insurance company has done is they've come up with a solution, and what that solution is looking at life insurance that includes chronic illness riders. That myself is like one of the policies that I have. So with my life insurance policy, God forbid if something happens and I pass away, My wife and family are going to get a check for the life insurance proceeds. But if I need that help because I have some type of chronic illness or terminal illness, I have the ability where I can accelerate those benefits while I'm alive. Annuities. The Insurance Companies of America have also offered annuities with income riders. Those type of plans are really designed to try to help you maintain control and independence, provide more income to help you maintain that ability to try to stay out of a nursing home with the annuity with income riders, again, designed to give you more income for independence. And then the last option is long-term care insurance. A lot of the companies have gotten away from the traditional long-term care insurance. Those folks who have traditional long-term care insurance, we've seen a lot of people who have gotten premium notice increases. But again, I think the choice is doing nothing is probably not the best choice. The choice is to become educated about what your options are, and then make a decision. Make a decision, and the earlier that you make the decision, the more options that you have. The annuities tend to be longer if you can let that money grow for 10 or 15 years for some of the benefits. Where, life insurance, you need to medically qualify for that. So you want to get it before your health changes, and then once you have it in effect, your benefits become immediate right away. The same with traditional long-term care insurance. You need to qualify for those type of benefits. And again, those of you who served, you need to look at military benefits. Even if your family is in a crisis situation, there's still things that can be done. And if you're in that situation, you need us to make a connection. That's what we're absolutely happy to do and help you out here at America's Retirement Headquarters.
As they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. You definitely want to prepare for the possibility of needing some form of long-term care assistance because it can be very expensive if you go without being able to explore all the different options, see what's going to work best for you. And hopefully it's a situation where you never have to utilize it. But again, better to be prepared. It all starts with that phone call, 419-794-3030. Or go to the website. You can also find out more about upcoming events that they've got, including Medicare workshops and the Economic Summit coming up later this year by going to arhq.com.